Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Riverside Theater's Cast Chat, where we get the opportunity to talk to some of the performers and directors who have worked on our stages. Today, we're talking to the multi-talented Anne Brummel. Hello, Anne.
Hello.
We're so thrilled that we get a few minutes to talk to you about your recollections about your performances here. Anne has been on Broadway, she's headed national tours, and she's worked lots of regional theaters like Riverside. And we're thrilled that she's going to talk to us about two shows that she was here in, Mamma Mia on the Stark stage and The Mystery of Edwin Drood on the Waxlack stage. So let me start off with Mamma Mia, which was a huge hit. Did you know that it was the third most attended performance show in the theater's 48-year history? So it's a testament to the show, to the music, to the cast, and of course, you.
Well, I would take credit for all of it. No. I didn't know that. I knew that it sold very well, both at Riverside and Walnut Street, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit. But it's such a fun, perfect summer theater experience. So I had a hunch that it would do well. And I do remember hearing that we sort of were off the charts with ticket sales. So I didn't know that statistic specifically, but not surprising.
Well, it's you mentioned it was only here for a little while. It was here for 3 weeks because maybe many people might not know that Riverside Theater does one co-production a year with the Walnut Street Theater in Philadelphia, and Mamma Mia was a co-pro, as we call it. So the show that is built here and performed here, the sets, the cast, the costume, all go to Philadelphia for a longer run. So how is it, as a performer standpoint, working on a co-pro?
I had never done anything like that before. I've obviously toured a lot, so there was jumping around was not foreign to me. It was interesting. It was interesting to, you spend so much time rehearsing a show, teching a show, and then you fit it perfectly to that space with regional theater, typically. And so the idea of packing it all up, taking a week off, and then sort of appearing in this new space with a very quick turnaround for the technical elements. You have a new crew, your cast is the same, and the overall team is the same, but you're in a new space. So you're trying to figure out where do you go when you're off stage, and where's the coffee? So it takes you a minute to sort of adjust to a new space, but it was really fun. I mean, it was a great experience, and I had actually gone to school in Philly for a little bit, so it was fun to be back in that city because I do love Philadelphia. So it was a great experience and great opportunity.
Well, when regional theaters get together, the cast, you immediately become an instant family, and you start working together and sort of in many places living together. But it's difficult when this family that you've worked with for 6 weeks sort of disbands. So I think one of the advantages is that you can continue this family to be together for a little longer.
Yes, that is true. And I have some dear friends that came out of both my experiences at Riverside and subsequently Walnut Street. So
Had you ever done Mamma Mia before? What did you think of the show when it first opened on Broadway? Were you a fan of ABBA? I know I am.
wow, actually I have a few interesting connections with Mamma Mia. It was not my first time doing Mamma Mia. I did Mamma Mia at Theater Aspen, was my first experience with it. And going into it, honestly, I was like, no, it's Mamma Mia, whatever. And it ended up being hands down one of my most favorite roles to play ever. The music is fun, the show is fun, but there is so much heart to it. And I think the character of Donna, which is who I played, gets to do everything. As an actress, you get to do all the things in Mamma Mia. You get to be in a love triangle, sort of not a love triangle, but sort of in this weird love story. You get to be comedic, you get to be heartbroken, you get to be a mom, you get to be a silly friend to your girlfriends. She kind of gets to go through every emotion that you could possibly go through in a play or musical. She's really fun to play. I honestly think if anybody called me and said, "Do you want to do Mamma Mia like in my basement?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm in. I'm absolutely in."
Well, it's such a fun show. It's lighthearted. The music is great. The audience knows the music, so they can almost sing along with you. And I think that's one of the draws to the show. It's why it's so successful all over the world where it's played. So we're so thrilled that you were part of it. But we loved you from the first time you came. The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which played our Waxlax stage, which is our smaller stage. You were Edwin Drood.
I was.
For those who are not familiar with the show, it's based on a Charles Dickens novel that he was unable to finish because he passed away. And so Rupert Holmes made a musical of this novel, but it had no ending. How do you make a musical with no ending? And how does a performer perform a musical with no ending?
Easy. You leave it up to the audience to decide what our ending is. So it's sort of a murder mystery that's left in the hands of the audience. There comes a point where they get to write down who they think out of our cast of characters was the culprit. And so it's interesting because the show is designed for that. So there's time built in that you can kind of take all your results and you run in the back and you tally them all up, and you have the murderer. And it means that in a rehearsal process, our actors had to learn multiple different endings. And be able to remember all of them. Some combinations of people were funnier than others, because you also decided the lovers, which, we certainly had some nights where there were tears streaming down our face with certain couplings of people. But I actually I was the victim. So I never was, I didn't have to learn a lot of different endings. I got to stick with one ending. So I think I had it a lot easier than everyone else. But we left it to the audience. And so every night was a surprise for us.
And another tremendous cast.
Oh God, yes.
Costumes and the set were wonderful. As a performer, being in a smaller, intimate space like the Waxlax, and then going on to the main stage and the Stark stage, what do you have to do as a performer differently than you would if all your shows were on the big stage?
I think when you're in a more intimate space, you can kind of bring it down, a little more cinematic versus huge, because you are close to people. Edwin Drood was so immersive. The audience was really part of our story, and we used not just the stage, but the audience space. We would walk through, we interacted with people. So I really think that a show like that was designed for a space like that, even though I know typically it's done on like a standard stage, but it was so fun to do a piece like that because it's a silly show, it's over the top, it's, to be able to include the audience in that and really connect with them, especially because they become the storytellers too at the end, was a really cool experience. And then transferring to the bigger stage was sort of more what I'm used to, so that didn't feel like such a transition. If anything, doing Drood was new to me because I had not really done immersive theater, unless you count Cats, where I ran through the audience and scared people at the beginning. But other than that, I really didn't have much experience with using the audience as much as we did. I was actually nervous about it. I was used to being up on stage and the audience was down there. So it was a fun show to do.
Well, you were brilliant in it, and everyone in the cast was brilliant. And again, the cast of Mamma Mia was wonderful. Setting aside the last year where a lot of the performers didn't have the opportunity to do their craft, what have you been up to since you left Riverside?
Well, since I left Riverside, I have a child now. I have a little one. He's now just turned 2 in January. Actually, in between my time at Riverside doing Mamma Mia and getting to Philadelphia to rehearse Mamma Mia, some magic happened, and I ended up pregnant. And so,
As magic usually does.
as magic usually does. So I found out about two weeks maybe, or a week before we opened in Philadelphia, that I was pregnant. And so it was kind of a secret for most people at Walnut Street. A close circle of people knew. And I was able to announce at the end of, I think it was our last day in the theater, because I had just hit that, don't tell people till 3 months. So I had just hit that 3-month mark and was able to tell the cast. And I actually did it. I put a note on the call board because, as you know, with Mamma Mia, there's sort of a mystery as to who the father of her child is. And so I put a note on the call board with a picture of the sonogram. And I said, I'd like to inform you that Donna Sheridan is knocked up again, but this time she knows who the father is. So,
oh, that's hilarious. That's
so
wonderful.
that's how we announced to the cast. But yeah, so I have a child. I have a son named Harlan. And he certainly keeps my husband and I extremely busy. He doesn't stop moving. And my husband and I were actually on the tour of Lincoln Center Theater's My Fair Lady when the pandemic hit. So we had sort of decided that, 2020 was going to be an adventure. And anyways, didn't quite plan for the one we ended up with. But we were in Columbus, Ohio when the tour was halted. We bounced around because, like every good actor, we had a sublet in our apartment who was happy. And we bounced around from my parents in Delaware to Cape Cod to Brooklyn. And then we finally returned home to our place in Hoboken, New Jersey, right before Thanksgiving. So we've been keeping busy. I do administrative work for a dance and music school in Hoboken. It's a job I've had for a long time. I do work remotely for them, but now I'm sort of there in a bit more of I sort of am the studio director now. So I do a lot of emailing with parents. And I also started something that I'm really proud of that continues to grow, called the Broadway Merchant Collective, which is a website, and you can find us on Instagram. It is a site designed to draw attention to small businesses owned and operated by Broadway and arts industry workers. So we launched on Cyber Monday, so right before the holidays, and we sort of focused on goods-based shops, so Etsy shops, and people who, if you buy something, they send you whatever you bought. And we're working on expanding so that we can kind of include everyone from teachers to photographers, fitness instructors, web designers, whatever their job may be.
And thank you so much for taking some time and
you.
talking to us and helping us remember the great shows you were part of, The Mystery of Edwin Drood and Mamma Mia. We really enjoy you, we love you, and we can't wait to have you back.
Thank you. I can't wait to be back. You guys are the best.